Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashta Prayesho Bhadresho Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So reading for Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, Shloka 18. We'll read the Shloka. Uddhava Shatyakishchaiva Vyajane Paramadbhute
Bhajane Paramadbhute.
Vikiryamana Kushumai
Viki Vitmaya Kusume.
Reje Madhupati Pati Reje Madhupati.
Jrijayame Tupati.
Translation: Uddhava and Satyaki began to fan the Lord with decorated fans, and the Lord, as the master of Madhu, seated on scattered flowers, commanded them along the road. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji, for sharing. So we're done with 18. Basically, Satyaki and Uddhav, they are fanning the Lord. Over to you, Nirbhay Prabhu, please. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. I can read, Prabhuji?
Yes, you can read and then coordinate.
Okay, Prabhuji. Ashruyantaschi ta Ashruyanti shish satyas tatra tatra dvijerita nanurupanurupascha
Pascha
nirgunasya gunatmanaha.
Nirgunasya Gunatmana.
Translation: It was being heard here and there that the benedictions being paid to Krishna were neither befitting nor unbefitting, because they were all for the Absolute, who was now playing the part of a human being. Hare Krishna. So, you can read the purport also by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. At places there were sounds of Vedic benediction aiming at the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. The benedictions were fitting in the sense that the Lord was playing the part of a human being as if a cousin of Maharaj Yudhishthir, but they were also unfitting because the Lord is absolute and has nothing to do with any kind of material relativities. He is nirguna, or there are no material qualities in him, but he is full of transcendental qualities. In the transcendental world, there is nothing contradictory, whereas in the relative world, everything has its opposite. In the relative world, white is the opposite conception of black, but in the transcendental world, there is no distinction between white and black. Therefore, the sounds of benedictions uttered by the learned Brahmanas here and there appeared to be contradictory in relation with the absolute person, but when they are applied to the absolute person, they lose all contradiction and become transcendental. One example may clear this idea. Lord Shri Krishna is sometimes described as a thief. He is very famous of his pure devotees as Makan Chora. He used to steal butter from the houses of neighbors at Vrindavan in his early age. Since then, he is famous as a thief. But in spite of his being famous as a thief, he is worshipped as a thief, whereas in the mundane world, a thief is punished and is never praised. Since he is the absolute personality of Godhead, everything is applicable to him, and still, in spite of all contradictions, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. So, a little confusing but Prabhupada has explained it really nicely and clarified it. So here what's happening is that there were a lot of brahmanas were there who were giving benedictions to Krishna, and it is said that they were neither befitting nor unbefitting. So that's sounds contradictory, but Prabhupada explains that it is not really contradictory because it is for Krishna. When things are applied to Krishna, they become spiritual. When these benedictions they are for Krishna, they become spiritual. And in the spiritual world, there is no contradiction. In the material world, there is always, there's true and false. There's like always a opposite to something. So white and black is like another example given, that like for colors, white is opposite to black. But in the spiritual world, there is no comparison. It's like white is also completely white, black is also completely black, but they're not, then there's no distinction between them. There is like everything is spiritual, so it has its own spiritual understanding, and that's why, because it's difficult for us to understand with our material understanding. That is why it seems like things are contradictory, but in spiritual world it's said that it is not contradictory, everything is complete. So in this world, material world, things are relative to one another, but in spiritual world everything is complete in itself, and there's no distinction between, let's say, white and black. So when these brahmanas were uttering these benedictions, they are contradictory, because on one side it is for Lord Krishna, who is the relative of Maharaj Yudhishthir. So as a relative of Maharaj Yudhishthir, they are giving the benedictions. But on the other end, it is for Krishna, who's the supreme personality of Godhead, and he, like the supreme personality of Godhead, is not bound by any relations. He can choose to be related, but at the same, like it said, that Krishna is in everybody, but is still without. Everything in the universe is in Krishna, and Krishna is in everything, but at the same time he has nothing to do with this universe, right? So he's in everybody, but he's also not in everybody. Like everything rests upon Krishna, but Krishna does not rest upon anybody. He is complete in itself, Anantaram. He's like he is the Adi Purush. He is complete. There is nobody before him, nobody that gives origin to him. So he is complete in himself. Everything is upon him, resting upon him, and he can choose by his own will to whether come to the material world or do whatever he wants. Like there's no restriction to him. If Krishna wants, he can do what he whatever he wants. So there is no boundation for Krishna. So that's why it's a little virodhabhas here. It's like a contradiction, because it is the same benedictions can be applied to Krishna, the person who's in the material world. He is spiritual, but he is in the material world by his own will, and at the same time is applied to Krishna, who is the supreme personality of Godhead and is not bound by anything. So Hare Krishna. Sorry if I confused more than helping, but it's slightly confusing concept. Please add other devotees if want to say something. Hare Krishna. Does anyone have anything else to add, or everybody understood this concept, or what is mentioned here?
So I can share just my minute understanding of this. So what? So basically, the Brahmanas were glorifying Krishna as if they are glorifying the um, king of Dwarka and a cousin of Maharaj Yudhishthir, right? Cousin of Pandavas and the king of Dwarka. So, in that way, they are glorifying Krishna. They are glorifying his qualities and his position and his titles and his whatever he does, right? So that is befitting. So that part here is befitting, that they are glorifying him, his activities, his relationships when he appeared on this planet, which is befitting. Like just like we would glorify anybody, right? Any of us does something nice and we start glorifying them, right? That, oh, you did this service or you did that, and all glories to you for that, right? But at the same time they're unbefitting. And from this I understand that yes, Krishna is playing those parts of a human being, of a king, of a cousin, of a charioteer, or all these gunas, all these qualities that they're glorifying. Yes, true, they are befitting, but they're unbefitting also because actually he's above and beyond those qualities, those relations, those activities, those everything that they are glorifying. Krishna is actually way beyond those things. He's nirgun. So those qualities that they're trying to glorify, actually he does not have any material qualities. They are glorifying material qualities, but he is nirgun. He's transcendental to those qualities. He has no material qualities. He's not bound by the three modes of material nature. So they're also unbefitting because he's the absolute. So he's just playing the part of a human being. So for a human being, if you think, okay, this is Krishna, person, a king, a relative of Yudhishthir Maharaj, of Pandavas, okay, then these glorifications, these benedictions are very nice for him. But he's actually not those things. He's actually above and beyond those things. He's transcendental. So in this way, those things are unbefitting for him. That is just my understanding. I think Nirbhay Prabhu also said the same thing. I'm just saying it in a different way, like according to my understanding. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, and thank you for adding that. Also here I forgot to also point out that how I think we have discussed this in the past, how Krishna is called as Nirgun, and he's called as Nirguna because he is beyond the gunas, the three modes of material nature, and he has also said he has no material qualities in him, right? There are no material qualities in Krishna, but he is full of transcendental qualities. So it's not that Nirguna means Mayavadis, they translate this as that he doesn't have a form, or that is why he is called Nirgun. That is not it. That is a wrong understanding, and that's an envious understanding of Krishna. That how can we have form and all this, and we have qualities, but Krishna has no qualities? No, he is everything. Everything is coming from Krishna. So he has all the qualities, the qualities in this material world are nothing but a perverted reflection of the spiritual qualities. So just like the example here is also given, how Krishna is a thief, but is because he's spiritual, the activity of stealing is also transcendental, and it is beyond the three modes. It is not that he is taken over by a mode of passion, that is why he is stealing. No, he is transcendental to the modes of all the three modes. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita. So because he is transcendental to the three modes, his stealing is also spiritual, and that is why it is glorified by the devotees, and he is worshipped as Makhanchor. Whereas the same thing, perverted reflection of that in the material world, is under the modes of material nature, and thus it is a perverted reflection of that, and not and it is not at all good. It is, people, that's why people go to jail if they're giving punishment if they are doing. And then same law of karma would apply to that, because it is through the modes of material nature. So just wanted to add that too. Hare Krishna. Anything else here, or should we go move ahead? Okay, we'll go ahead then. Any devotee wants to read this one?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can read.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Nanyoyam asit sanjalpa
Anyoyam asit sangyalpa
uttam sloke chaseta sam
uttam shloka chetasham
kauravendram puram sitam sinam
Kauravendra purstrinam
sarvasruti manohara.
Sarvashruti manoharaha.
Translation: absorbed in the thought of transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry, the ladies of the roofs of all the houses of Hastinapur began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. Purport: in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that in all the Vedic literatures, the goal is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Factually, the glories of the Lord are depicted in such literature as Vedas, Ramayana, and Mahabharata. And the Bhagavatam, they are specifically mentioned in respect to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, while the ladies on the top of the houses in the capital of the king of the Kuru dynasty were talking about the Lord, their talk was more pleasing than the Vedic hymns. Anything sung in the praise of the Lord is Shruti Mantra. There are songs of Thakur Narottam Das, one of the acharyas in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, composed in simple Bengali language. But Thakur Vishwanath Chakravarti, another very learned acharya of the same Sampradaya, has approved the song by Thakur Narottam Das to be as good as Vedic mantras. And not this is so because subject matter, the language is immaterial, but the subject matter is important. The ladies who were all absorbed in the thoughts and actions of the Lord developed the consciousness of the Vedic wisdom by the grace of the Lord. And therefore, although such ladies might not have been very learned scholars in Sanskrit or otherwise, still whatever they spoke was more attractive than the Vedic hymns. The Vedic hymn in the Upanishads are sometimes indirectly directed to the Supreme Lord, but the talks of the ladies were directly spoken to the Lord, and thus they were more pleasing to the heart. The ladies' talks appear to be more valuable than the learned Brahman's benedictions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This is explained here, written by the Prabhupada. It's very, very clear and very simplified way that whatever we praise to the Lord, I mean, people nowadays spend time in the gossips, news, media, politics, and so many things, so many other things, rather than talking about the Lord. But in the Vaishnava, whenever the Vaishnava meets, they talk about always Krishna. Like Arjuna asked to the what are the symptoms of the people who are involved in the Krishna consciousness, how they walk, how they talk, what are their qualities. So that's what exactly it has been said over here. Then the ladies who are not well educated in the Sanskrit are they are not very learned scholar are very known to the Sanskrit, even though they are whatever they are talking in their language, it's much attractive to the lords. It's make more a pleasing way. It's feels so good to the heart of the people. They know what they are talking about, and that is very direct to the Lord. They are just looking to the Lord and they are just talking. I think everyone knows the scene that the Krishna is just about to leave to the Hastinapur, and then everyone understood, yo, the man behind the victory is the one, nothing but the Lord Krishna. Then that's why everyone got surprised and everyone just giving the blessings and they are talking about that. So this is the scene about the Lord when Lord is about to leave the Hastinapur, and whatever the so many big our epic, I mean all the story like the Vedas, Upanishad, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and they have written so many expand the Brahma Upanishad and other Upanishad. It has been written about the Lord to please the Lord, but that is indirect way. Sometimes it is indirect, sometimes it is direct, and Acharya songs like we more melodious. Like many times we heard the Rakshita Mata is there in the call. No, Rakshita Mata, not see. I think Rakshita Mata, Natasha Mata, some Matas here, Rakshita Mata, someone like to their song Jai Radha Madhav, right? Very nicely. So then, whatever the songs we sing for the Lord, that is so melodious, and people absorb totally, and they forgot everything. Then that's what it has been explained, Prabhuji, and this is more I mean much more better than the learned Brahmana benedictions. Whatever the ladies are talking to them, that is the abstract. It means. So whenever the Vaishnava speak their, I mean, open their mouth, they just talk about the Krishna. So this is the glories of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Over to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for explaining. Yeah, I think this is a very strong purport, and a lot of times in our classes, and when we are talking to people who are somewhat new to ISKCON, a lot of people ask this, that why are you singing all these Bengali songs, right? Why not sing Hindi songs, or what is the, why are in these classes we are either talking in English or Hindi? Then Bengali songs, where do they come from? Why Bengali songs? None of us are Bengalis. Most of the people in the call are not Bengalis. And why are we singing these songs which we can hardly understand and have to read translation and all that? But they don't mind speaking, the Sanskrit and reading the translation of Sanskrit. So this is a very, interesting point here made by Prabhupada, that, these songs by our acharyas in the Sampradaya, they have equal or higher meaning than a lot of Vedic mantras, right? The songs of, so again I'll like to read this again. Anything sung in the praise of Lord is Shruti mantra. There are songs of Thakur Narottam Das, one of the acharyas in Gaudiya Sampradaya, composed in simple Bengali language. But Thakur Vishna Chakravarti, another learned acharya of the same Sampradaya, has approved the songs by Thakur Narottam Das to be as good as Vedic mantras. Right? So this is a very important thing for us to understand, that when we are singing these Vaishnav songs, it is like chanting the Vedic mantras. And if anything, if we take the import of this purport, it is even higher than a lot of Vedic mantras which are indirectly glorifying the Lord. Because these songs are directly glorifying the Lord, they have even higher import than some of the Vedic mantras which may be indirectly glorifying the Lord. It also reminds me that in the starting, how we talked about why Ved Vyas had to write Srimad Bhagavatam. His heart, Lord Ved Vyas, he was not happy despite having composed all of the, All the Vedas were already there, all the Upanishads, so many other things were there already, and still his heart was not completely satisfied. And he asked Narad Muni that, and Narad Muni instructed him that this is because you have not directly glorified the Lord as yet. So that is why then Vedavyas then wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, and when he directly glorified the Lord via Srimad Bhagavatam, then his heart was completely satisfied. So this is the same consciousness is being discussed over here, that even though the Brahmanas were speaking Vedic mantras, and that was not as pleasing as when the ladies were standing and talking about Krishna directly, that had more prominence, more import than even the Vedic hymns which are being sung by the Brahmanas. So yes, very very beautiful, very important purport. Hare Krishna. Any other devotees would like to say anything? Any questions, realizations, comments? Okay, then we'll go ahead. We'll read one more.
I just wanted to say that Prabhupada is so merciful that he has not only given the purports to Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and so many other books, but also to these Vaishnav songs. So there are purports because these songs written by our acharyas in disciplic succession, right? And so they are full of not only bhav but also proper philosophy and knowledge also. And that's why Prabhupada has written such detailed purports actually to the songs. So if you go in KK songs or somewhere and look up the song, you can read Prabhupada's purports to that song. And if Prabhupada deemed something so important to give purports to, then it must be worth glorifying and singing. And I remember when Amoglila Prabhu came for that lecture, when was that? On Gaur Purnima. He instructed actually that we should try to sing Vaishnav bhajans, we should try to memorize them, and as much as possible stick to the Vaishnav bhajans, because they are in the right mood, by the right people, with the right philosophy, right instructions, and by singing those songs one will also acquire similar kind of mood, of humility, of tolerance, and then proper devotional service that is expected in this tradition. So I just wanted to share that.
Hare Krishna. Yes, thank you for sharing nice points, everybody. The other thing also I wanted to add, I completely agree with all what the devotees are mentioning. The other thing I want to also add is like every place has their own speciality. If you want to, let's say, choose a restaurant, so different restaurants, they may have their different speciality. McDonald's has certain things, Domino's has certain things. So in bhakti also there are different flavors which may be there. Some people from some other sampradaya or some other organization may have their own different mood. But when somebody is coming to ISKCON and they are getting inspired to follow this path, then they have to taste what ISKCON has to offer, not that ISKCON has to change it according to what they demand. This is how that why you don't sing this song or that song or that song. That's totally their choice. If they want to eat in a particular restaurant, they can go to that restaurant and they can't expect everything in the single restaurant. But yes, there are certain restaurants or something where you really love to go, you really want to go, you feel like, yeah, that's the best, that's where I want to go. And they don't keep copying what other people are doing. They have their own speciality, their own uniqueness, because of which they're best. So same thing is true for the sampradayas also, that yes, there could be other things which may be outside of our Vaishnav books, which may be talking about Krishna or Kanhaiya or Gopal, and maybe song on Krishna. But all songs of Krishna, Krishna is not just a monopoly of us. There may be so many other sampradayas who may be going to Krishna, yeah, right? So many Vaishnava sampradayas are there, and they have their own songs. But one thing we are sure is that the philosophy which we have, the philosophy which is given by our acharyas, is perfect. And as we are singing, as we are tasting, as we are following, we are actually seeing that we are completely satisfied. So because we are completely satisfied, because it's a pure philosophy, because we are able to have both logical conviction as well as practical experience of how this process works in a profound manner, we don't even feel the need of going out and trying to hunt for something which is outside, because already there are ample opportunities within our sampradaya or culture of so many songs which we can hear and learn from. And then it doesn't really matter what language it is. Language, like Prabhupada is mentioning here, language is immaterial, but the subject matter is important. So that is the mood which comes naturally. And when we, like it is said, the taste of the pudding lies in its eating. When we hear these songs, when we try to sing these songs, just after a few times, they become like so close to our heart. And then we want to sing them more and more and more. And this is in itself a proof of how profound and helpful these songs are. And the reason why these songs are written is to make the essential teachings of all the Vedic culture or of Krishna consciousness, which is given in maybe some difficult language in the scriptures, to make it very, very simple and accessible for ordinary people. So that is the idea in which, the acharyas have written the song, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote so many songs. Why he wrote so many songs? Because at that time it was prevalent. Other people, they were writing songs like a drama or music, different things they were doing. So he used it in the service of Krishna, and many people actually got attracted. So this is how different acharyas have contributed in their own unique way to make this science accessible for the masses. That is what I want to share. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for adding. I think next purport is also big. Should we stop here? It's already 9 o'clock over there.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. So any other devotees would like to say anything before we conclude? So I'll chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 11 times.
Yes, Prabhuji.
श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय